to the Jay Kim Show, Hong Kong's first dedicated podcast on investing in Asia. Join us as we survey the land and discover the greatest companies and most profitable investment opportunities in Asia. If this is your first time listening, thank you for stopping by. This podcast is produced every week with the goal of providing actionable insights to you, the listener, with every single episode. And now, on to the show. Hey listeners, I'm happy to announce that the Jay Kim Show is an official media partner and supporter of the Inside Retail's cutting-edge vertical at the Start Me Up Hong Kong Festival at the end of January. The actual event is on the 31st of January, which is a Wednesday, and it's going to be an all-day event at the Hong Kong Convention Center. It's going to be an action-packed day full of seminars, panels, pitching, networking, and of course, cocktails. As a media partner, I also get a special 20% discount code for my listeners. So if you're interested, head on over to live.insideretail.hk/register. That's live.insideretail.hk/register and use the promo code JKIM20OFF. That's JAYKIM, the number 20, and off, all in one word. All right, hope to see you there. Today's show guest is Louis Tong, COO of Strawberry Cosmetics Limited. Strawberry Cosmetics, which is also known as Strawberrynet, is a leading beauty online store carrying over 800 brands and 33,000 products, which ship to nearly 200 countries around the world every single day. Today we talk about her exciting journey from the early .com days in China, where she helped launch the popular Chinese social network renren.com, to starting her own luxury lingerie business, and then to finally starting Strawberrynet in 1998, which she still runs today. That's 20 years that she's been running this successful e-commerce business, which is one of the largest in the world within her niche. Let's get on to the show. Hi, Louis. How are you doing tonight? Thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Hi, Jay. I'm good. Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you on. So just for a little bit of color for you, I launched this podcast exactly 1 year ago during the Start Me Up Hong Kong Festival 2017. And I had an opportunity to interview some of the other speakers at the time at the Inside Retail vertical. And so this year, for the audience listening in, Start Me Up Hong Kong Festival 2018 is at the end of January, and the retail vertical is actually on Wednesday, the 31st. And our guest tonight, Louis, is actually one of the speakers that day. So if you guys are interested, I'll have this all linked up in the show notes. You can, I actually have a discount coupon code that if you want to go to the Inside Retail on Wednesday, January 31st, you can punch in the code and get 20% off your ticket. So I highly recommend you guys do that if you're into retail and you want to hear some of the great speakers, including Louis. So thank you so much for your time, Louis. Thanks for coming on. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay, well, hello, everyone. My name is Louis Tong. I'm from Hong Kong. I have been in this online business nearly 20 years. It started at the beginning of the .com boom. If some of you have some history that you might remember, there's a company called renren.com. That's how and when I started to get into online media, which I helped to start the business. And the company was actually quite an early entry. And eventually it went IPO. So it is the earliest Chinese community site, those days before Facebook started.
Right.
So eventually I helped PCCW to do another venture to do a online media consultation for integrated media called Ad Society.
I see.
Before I actually set up my own business, doing completely something different.
Right.
Which I started a retail business, a brick-and-mortar business representing top brands, top international lingerie brands, distribute and retail them in Hong Kong. Pretty soon, the business evolved into a online business, and I was one of the earliest startup for trading fashion item, not to say luxury lingerie, on the online basis. To my surprise, my shopper are not necessarily from Hong Kong. Most of the people who actually came to shop are actually from Europe, US, and Australia. So, and we're talking about in 2006. So that was actually a really
Wow.
great experience selling an article of lingerie ranging from $2,000 to $3,000 an article. So it was a great experience. Consider a lot of the country are only starting to finance their broadband network.
Sure.
So yeah, eventually it brings me today into where I am, completely involved into an online business with Strawberrynet.
Right. Thank you for sharing that, Louis. How did you initially get into tech? I mean, was that sort of your background? It sounds like you probably. I'm making assumptions here, but it sounds like but when I hear that you kind of went into retail and then now you're doing online retail, and it sounds like that was sort of what you wanted to do all the time. How did you end up doing tech first?
Well, very good question, Jay. I mean, I actually never thought about going into tech. Um, I'm actually trained as a chemist, a chemical engineer.
Oh wow.
So after working as a chemist and chemical engineer for some time, we were trading pigments, those days, and trading items like that. You would really taking a long time for a company to make a deal. Sometimes you have to involve government regulations, lobbying. So each deal would take 2 to 3 years sometimes, but the reward is actually amazing.
Right.
So as a young person, especially living in Hong Kong, things are really fast. A lot of people are in the banking. You see things
Yeah.
are happening really fast. I started to ask myself, is this the direction I wanted to go? Is there something else I wanted to do? So then I had the opportunity to meet the founders of Renren.com when they first started. Michael Robinson and Anthony Chang, to McKinsey, ex-consultant.
Right.
So we hit it off after a coffee. And before I know it, the next day I joined their venture. That's how I get started with technology.
Wow.
And it's
That's
a
amazing.
very great experience and great point to change my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was this was Web 1.0, so this was like the initial sort of tech boom, and you were there for that, which is pretty cool because yeah, Redmond was like the first Chinese social media network, right?
You bet, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you after that, after sort of the exit, you said you worked for PCW for a while, and then you decided, okay, I don't want to do like pure tech anymore. I want to go back to retail, I guess. So you did the high-end lingerie. Is that sort of the thought process that you were having at the time?
Um, those days everything happened so quickly because I think that was still the stage of time then when people thought about technology. .com is actually a new media. The word new media actually still exists today, but gradually there are a lot of people understand new media is not necessarily meaning new business. Your budget is only this much. You have to cut your pie differently to reposition yourself how you want it to be exposed. So, everything happens so fast, and especially those days with technology company, we have investor News Corp, the best in the VC fund from Silicon Valley. So, apart from developing our technology backend, also partner with Intel. So things are moving very, very fast. Market is expanding very fast. Technically, we're working about 20 hours a day.
Wow.
Because even though we say that we're working just for the Chinese community, our partners actually involve people who may be technology partner actually stationed in the U.S. Who are 16 hours difference from our time difference.
Right.
So in the evening, we'll go back and then make a conference call and get things going. So after a few years actually being fast paced like that, I started to ask myself, I can continue to help people to start a business,
Right.
or perhaps I can start up a business by myself
Hmm.
and see where it goes. So at that time, I weighed different kind of option. What do I want to do? Do I want to start a tech company? So I went back to one of these idea I had when I was in college, which is kind of inspiration from Victoria's Secret. For those who live in
Right.
US, it's a
Sure.
very aspirational brand. How they
Hmm.
make such a simple product is such a big, successful brand. We're not talking about product. So market in Hong Kong is very nascent, and so I thought, why not, try it.
Right.
I was actually quite naive and nascent at that time. I just thought maybe that's what I wanted to do, but I didn't realize I have no experience in retail. Forget about managing a company. I started a business, so all right, but managing your own company is very different versus managing other people's company.
And I also feel like the niche that you picked is quite progressive because Asians are quite conservative, and so the the luxury lingerie niche was definitely bold niche for you to try to conquer.
Yeah, I think thanks to being young, that all I can think of, I mean, even today, I think I was actually very nascent of thinking that that's what I wanted to do. So, and I decided to just go for it. I
Right.
never really thought about all these, product nature. How am I going to market it? I never done any marketing in terms of consumable goods, or fashion item. And
Hmm.
I I get training from my supplier, actually, how to
Right.
sell lingerie. And I don't even know how to measure people.
Right.
But, I learned quickly. And it was a very exciting period of time. The best thing is actually, I don't know what I don't know. Everything I learn is something that I will make the best out of it.
Yeah, I think I mean, that's about as practical and on the job training as you can get. I mean, just throwing yourself into a startup and never having any experience and at a very difficult niche and just figuring it out as it goes. So obviously you learned some valuable lessons there that has now translated into a very successful 20-year business, Strawberrynet. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about Strawberrynet. What is Strawberrynet? Where did the name Strawberrynet come from? I know you have a nice little juicy looking strawberry icon on your website. How did you come up with the idea? Please share with us the story.
Well, Strawberrynet, as its name sounds, is actually we wanted to remind everyone how fresh our business could be. It's actually, the freshness of a beauty product is what we have based on. So Strawberrynet is an online e-commerce company focusing on beauty product, from skincare to makeup, cosmetics, hair care to fragrance. It is the world's leading beauty shop online that carries about 800 international brand names. Whatever names you can think of from Europe, US, Japan, Korea, existing brands, niche brand, classic brands, we all have, for over 30,000 products on our catalog.
Wow.
We're selling to about 190 countries in the world. That's a lot of penetration. There's only 196 country in the world
Wow.
with 38 languages and 247 pick and pack.
Hmm.
So it's a very vertical and wide range of offering that we have.
That's incredible. Has the business model changed at all from inception when you first launched Strawberry Net? Has it always been sort of skincare and beauty products?
Well, the nature of the product has always been the same. Our founder has started the business, believe it or not, very traditionally with a brick-and-mortar
Right.
store in TST.
Oh, wow.
And so within a year, yeah, we're right in front of the Star House.
Okay. Yeah, that's very,
And the business is really good and the foot traffic is exceptional. However, how many locations are there in Hong Kong and how many locations are there around the world? So after a year, the business has decided to change its business model and convert itself completely to the online space.
Right.
So the big change is actually basically happened within a year's time to convert it from offline to online.
Right.
And so at that time, it's quite early, it's 1998. So during that period of time, we slowly built up the business to make it into, expand from one country to another country and expand our portfolio. And since this is a very data-driven business, it also allows us to understand, what product and what area is actually popular that should we actually focus on. So eventually, it lead us to develop into where we are today.
So do you keep the products in, like, do you warehouse the products? Like, you actually carrying the inventory in a warehouse somewhere in China, and then that's where it gets shipped from?
Well, we do carry all the inventory. Actually, our inventory is not carried into China; it's actually carried in Hong Kong. And
Oh, it is. Okay.
yes, yeah, in China you will have actually very high tax. So, and
Oh, went through.
yes,
Yeah.
so we carry the inventory. It allow us to have a very fast turnaround time of dispatching our products to our shoppers.
Yeah, I mean, Hong Kong is obviously known to be one of the globally one of the best and most efficient hubs for logistics. So it does make sense to have your warehousing here. As far as like the products go and expanding that into other countries, is there? I mean, there you said there's multiple languages. Like, how first initially was it localized here in Hong Kong, or was it in English? And then how did you end up start sort of building upon that to expand?
Right. I think, as a basic, English, Chinese is a prerequisite, right? And so eventually, as we actually expand ourselves, countries like Japan and Korea, local language is actually critical in order to be able to penetrate and break into this market. So we started to build into these languages as we wanted to expand into this market. So bit by bit, we started to do that as the market started to have a little bit more opportunity. So until what we are today.
Right. And so what is the sort of shipping? Is there a global shipping policy, or like, is there how fast can if I ordered something online, like a skincare product, how fast can I expect to receive it? And is it different, vastly different if you go around the world?
Oh, absolutely. If you actually order from Hong Kong before 11 o'clock every day,
Mm-hmm.
so you can receive it by the end of the day.
Nice.
So same day delivery service for Hong Kong. Of course, you can opt in for actually deliver the day after. It's also possible.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go a little bit further, if we go to Japan, maybe 3 to 4 days,
Mm-hmm.
same as Korea, 3 to 4 days, you'll be able to receive door to door from from the time you order to the time arrives
Right.
your home or your office, whatever you want to deliver it. If we wanted to go a little bit further, go to the US, it maybe take a little bit longer. It really depends on the location. If it is in big city, it's actually a lot faster. If you're living in the small town, maybe you're taking a little bit longer. So we're talking about maybe, 4 to 6 days.
Right.
So each country and each location may have some variance, but overall, we'll be looking at within 10 days, it should be there.
So this is so what intrigues me is that a seemingly very niched and simple business. You guys have managed to dominate for so long and for so many years. If you ask me, oh, okay, you want to buy a skincare product, then I don't even know where. Like in the States, I would go to Sephora maybe and pick up something, or go to the mall, right? And then I would naturally just gravitate towards sort of a brick and mortar website, and then see if I can order it from there, or maybe the brand itself. So if it's Kiehl's, I would go to Kiehl's.com and try to order it. But for you guys to, I mean, what are some of the challenges that you have experienced, especially now that, I think you were an early adopter with e-commerce. So that obviously helped you. You had the first mover advantage. You dominated the niche. So that obviously helped you. But now I feel like it could be quite easy to throw together a e-commerce site and maybe try to compete. So what are some of the challenges that you've experienced and continue to experience as you see this sort of ease, like the barrier to entry for online businesses has gotten extremely low, right? So what are you guys experiencing there on that front?
Well, these days, I think, basically the information online is basically could be also information overload. As you said, it's so easy to set up a e-commerce company, and so easy to promote it and then get established and maybe even looks really professional. So I think in the end of the day, a lot of the people go online. People, even the younger generation, are even more savvy of doing their search. However, for everybody who invests money to buy something, they wanted to have product that meet their expectation, that is reliable, that is genuine. So how can a shopper determine whether the company they're buying from, the website they're buying from, is legitimate business? For them to pay the money, it is that they will receive the goods, or the good is actually with good value. They can search a lot and do the price comparison.
Right.
These days you can see a lot of company actually doing promotion, price cut, and there are some company would have a lot of funding. They probably don't really care about how much discount it is, as long as they actually, aggregate enough shoppers, and then they can actually start to make the money. Everybody's objective is different, and the funding situation is also varied. So to justify, what makes sense, I think a lot of the time, especially for more experienced shopper or the more first-time shopper, I think reputation is very, very important.
Right.
So coming to Strawberrynet, for us to be on the online space for nearly 20 years, it says so much about that what we have offered to the world has been so reliable. Therefore, we still here 20 years later, and we still continue to be leading in this category.
Right.
One of the things is we don't really, we don't market ourselves so much. So for people who actually look for beauty product and find us, they always stay with us. So I think this kind of reputation is not a beautiful website or a short-term marketing campaign can really build up.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you talk about authenticity of product earlier, and that isn't one of the questions that I wanted to ask you. Is have you ever been challenged, of the products that you have? I mean, our proximity is right next door to China, where is notorious for fake goods. So, has that ever been a problem from any of your customers? Or
it's such a fair question. Next door to China, whether it's China or anywhere else, I think for our category, this kind of question comes in a lot. Especially when people who may not have actually discovered us, during the process of they shop online. It's new to them to find out who's Strawberrynet, or they know us, but they never actually bought from us. People are curious about that. And so it's important for us to be able to communicate with them and to let them know, what we represent.
Right.
A couple years ago, there is a really, really great research report. I can't remember off my hand right now which company published it, but it's one of the biggest publisher actually published a research report about top 10 beauty company in the world. 9 of them are all brand owner. One of them is a multi-brand trader, Strawberrynet. So we were actually shocked and also flattered at the same time that we were actually considered one of the top 10 in the world.
Right, nice.
I think I would not be surprised, this kind of question will continue because we are living in the digital world. There will be actually a lot of opportunity for people who may not know us and who wanted to know, whether our supplier also supply us with the right kind of product. But the funny thing is, Jay, sometimes, people buy things, whether it's actually in the traditional store or, online space. There are always people wanted to, change, switch.
Sure.
Sometimes actually we send them our product and they can actually return it with a fake product.
Oh.
So there are all kinds of people in this world. So we have, you ask me, if people worry about we selling the fake thing, we worry about whether they return with the fake thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's when it comes to dealing with customers, you get the whole spectrum of people, and unfortunately, that's the world that we live in. But I think to your point, Louis, is that look, you built a business that has lasted for 20 years, and that goes well beyond sort of the smoke and mirrors that you can sort of hack together with a snazzy website or a lot of these new companies now are using sort of customer testimonials, and then you find out like those are also manipulated or fake as well. So it's absolutely a maze out there because of this democratization of information on the internet. So again, I guess it's a testament that to your brand and the work that you guys are doing there, that you were named in that study. So I'm happy to hear that. So Louis, let's just talk a little bit about sort of the future of Strawberrynet and the future of e-commerce. If you have any broad outlook on how the future of e-commerce is going to evolve in the coming years.
These couple of years, I think the word cross-border e-commerce becoming more and more seen and talked about. Before, in the past, e-commerce basically is a little bit more regional thing. But with the maturity of e-commerce around the globe, more and more countries can trade across the border. And trading across the border will involve different kind of from logistic and also, taxation, duties. And, famously, maybe 4 years ago, when Chanel decided to cut their China price of 5 items of their handbag by 10%. Wow, the world is going wild. Say, wow, they cut price. Little do they know, actually, a lot of the fashion brand has already started to have a global pricing.
Wow.
Even though it's not unified, but there are some guidance to make it a little bit more transparent, because internet, online e-commerce, give you the opportunity to look at prices in different countries. So the future of e-commerce is you were going to have a little bit more, less price disparity across the countries.
Yeah, absolutely.
And cross-border trading is becoming a lot more simpler. However, you will see a lot of countries, a lot of government is also adapting new taxation law to ensure all the cross-border e-commerce trade taxation are captured. So as an e-commerce operator, these are the areas actually also critical to the success of the company, because when you started to actually comply to every single of the new rules and regulation, that would also cause a lot of structural change or even financial burdens, whether this e-commerce company can afford to really have a true cross-border trading or not. And locations like Hong Kong, we have such a small population. Unless we really go global, Hong Kong population, if we actually have 30% of Hong Kong people all buying Strawberrynet, we're still talking about 2 million people, right?
Right.
Yeah, that would be nice, unless they buy every day, right?
Well, some I'm sure get close to that. Thanks for sharing your outlook. What about Strawberrynet specifically as a company? I mean, I'm sure along the 20 years, I'm sure there's been ups and downs and changes and potentials for. I'm sure people have come along and wanting to buy Strawberrynet and this sort of thing. I mean, are any plans for the future? Or are you just going to continue sort of the legacy, building that legacy of Strawberrynet within your niche?
Right. Well, there are a lot of new things coming up and good things coming up. Some I may not be able to share with you at this moment, but certainly I think one of the area we can say is, there's a lot of new technology out there, and we wanted to actually make sure that we would be able to engage into this new technology, but without losing focus of what we're trying to offer. We are e-commerce site.
Right.
AI and AR, is very popular. It's necessary for us. These kind of opportunity we evaluate constantly and see how can we integrate with ourselves. So, influencer, social media, or even we collaborate with a lot of marketplaces, and what we actually can reach out through our own customer, or who we can actually work together with to make our offer more reachable to their shopping habit. Yeah.
That's exciting. I like how you left a little cliffhanger there for the audience. So we're definitely going to put Strawberrynet on our radar now and follow closely, because I think that there's going to be some exciting news or some exciting data points coming up. So last couple of questions, Louis. And again, I thank you for your time. And I think, I think that this the forum is going to be great on the 31st. Last two questions. Second to last question is, you have had obviously a vast and very successful career building your company there, an e-commerce brand. Obviously, the legacy of Strawberrynet and it being one of the the dominant players in the space. If you were to give one piece of advice to, say, someone just starting out there, someone just launched their website and they want to build an e-commerce website in whatever niche it is, maybe it's I don't know, a women's luxury lingerie, and they want to be the next Strawberrynet. Like what could you tell this young person that just started their website and they aspire to be the next Strawberrynet? What piece of advice would you give them?
Well, one word: persevere. I think it's natural for everyone who started the business is eager to see result and to see return. And but I think building a business is easy because it's just building a structure. To making it work and sustainable is something that takes a lot of perseverance, because whatever happened actually great today, tomorrow could be another challenge. So it is important to learn as much as you can about the business and talk to as many people as possible. Plan as much as you can, in terms of the options and contingency, and try as hard as you can and prepare as much as you can, because in the end of the day, anything can happen. We expect a good result to come up, but if it didn't come through, at least everything that happened is actually a result of a careful, preparation, and you learn from it and move forward.
Right. Sound advice. Thank you, Louis. And the last question is, where can my audience find you or follow you, or maybe learn a little bit more about you if they want to? I'm not sure if you're active on social media or if you have a website of your own that people can reach out to you on if they have any questions or just want to follow up.
Well,
and you don't have to give it. If you don't want to get flooded with, don't give your email.
Personally, I quite enjoy LinkedIn. I think, professionally, it's actually a great location to exchange idea and share some insight. So look for me on LinkedIn.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Louis. We had a really good time hearing your very unique and inspiring story. So thank you for sharing that with the audience. And we're looking forward to seeing you speak on the 31st at the Inside Retail event. So thanks again.
It's my pleasure.
Much appreciated.
Thank you very much, Jay.
All right. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. All the show notes and links can be found over at jkimshow.com. Come back often and make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Don't forget to join us next week for another exciting episode of The J. Kim Show. I'd love to hear your comments. You can find me on Twitter at jkimmer, JAYKIMMER. See you guys next week. This podcast is brought to you by Hack Your Fitness, the high achiever's guide to getting ripped in under 3 hours a week. If you're anything like me, you're probably working a full-time job or jobs and trying to find time to balance family life, social life, and last but not least, fitness. Look, I get it. I'm a full-time investor and entrepreneur myself, and father of two. So how am I able to stay fit year-round without spending hours and hours in the gym killing myself on the cardio machine? After struggling for the last 15 years trying every workout and diet under the sun, I finally designed a system that allows me to achieve and maintain single-digit body fat for life in under 3 hours a week. Cardio not required. Head on over to hackyour.fitness and download my free 13-page guide that teaches you the simple science behind efficient fitness and smart nutrition and gives you everything you need to know to finally take control of your life. That's hackyour.fitness.